Hello everybody, my name is Eric Ripa, anatomy teacher here, room 119, Glen Estee High School. And what we have here today are the sheep hearts. We're going to do a brief review for the sheep heart dissection. Hopefully you'll be able to watch this at home and be able to walk you through what you'll need to know for your sheep heart lab dissection. All right, first we'll talk about the sheep hearts themselves. Depending on which heart you get and which we'll call it an evisceration technician at the slaughterhouse, remove the heart from the sheep. Some of the major blood vessels on the top will be cut very close so that they'll be difficult to see, especially the vena cavas and the pulmonary veins. So we'll have to walk through that when we get there. But first we'll talk about some of the surface markers. We look on the surface, we see this groove right here. This is known as the coronary sulcus. This is a groove that the coronary arteries follow so that they may feed the heart muscle themselves. The tip of the heart down here is the apex of the heart, and it is on the left ventricle. So we know that this is the left ventricle because of the apex, and so we know the coronary sulcus is here. This has to be the right ventricle, making this the right side of the heart and this the left side of the heart. On the surface, on top of the heart, we see these gray external flap-looking appendages right here and right here. These are called the auricles, and they mark the atria for the hearts. So we have one here, and we have one that's been cut off over there. Here we have one, and here we have another over here. All right, let's talk about circulation through the heart. We have, if we start with oxygen-poor blood making its way back from the body, it needs to come to the heart so that the heart can pump it to the lungs to become reoxygenated. All right, we know that this is the right side of the heart because we have the coronary sulcus here, so we know this is the right side of the heart. So this has to be the right atrium. So what we're looking for, the very thin-walled vena cavas. This opening right here is the superior vena cava, and we can connect the probe down underneath, and we can come out this opening right here. So we know that this is the inferior vena cava. Right, again, so inferior vena cava, superior vena cava, they both conjoin and connect and empty blood into the right atrium, which is indicated right here. If we open up the heart and look on the inside, we should be able to see the probe coming down from the right atrium. All right, now on this side of the heart, the atrioventricular valve found in between the right atrium and the right ventricle is the tricuspid valve, and we can see the flaps for the tricuspid valve are right here. And then this chamber is the right ventricle, and again up here is the right ventricle. Internally, when we open, we know that the left ventricle is the largest chamber of the heart, so we see this large open chamber here. We know that this is the left ventricle, again indicating that this is the right and that this is the left. Okay, we go back to the right ventricle. We know that it contracts and it sends blood up and out the pulmonary trunk, which connects to the right and left pulmonary artery, so that the blood can go and find its way to the lungs and become reoxygenated. And to indicate that this is definitely the pulmonary trunk, we can insert this probe and it will be coming out. Sure enough, it will come out the right ventricle right here. So we have right ventricle here. Blood is pumped from the right ventricle through the pulmonary semilunar valve up and out the pulmonary trunk. Okay? At this point, the lungs will receive the oxygen-poor blood from the pulmonary arteries. They will be reoxygenated in the tiny air sacs of the lungs, and then they'll make their way back through the pulmonary veins. Now, the pulmonary veins are a little tricky because many of the times they are cut off incredibly close to the left atrium. And we see right here, this opening is where all of the pulmonary veins, again carrying oxygen-rich blood, will come back to the heart and will dump into the left atrium. We'll take a look at one of the other hearts, and we'll see again, this is where all four of the pulmonary veins will converge and dump their blood into the left atrium. Again, it is cut off incredibly close, and same with this heart. The pulmonary veins are cut off incredibly close, showing us the inside actually of the left atrium. So let's go back to this heart. Since as we were using before, we know that this is the opening for the pulmonary veins dumping blood into the left atrium. Okay, we'll insert that probe showing the path of blood. We see that it does indeed go from the left atrium through the bicuspid valve, which is this atrioventricular valve here, in between the left chambers. This is the bicuspid valve again, and then the blood will go into the left ventricle. The left ventricle is the most powerful chamber of the heart. It pumps, responsible for pumping blood to all parts of the body. So when it contracts, it will send blood through this small valve right here. That is the aortic semilunar valve. And then blood will go out from the left ventricle through the aortic semilunar valve, and it should come out right there through the aorta, which is this large, very thick-walled artery right here. That will then carry blood from the left ventricle and out to the body so that all the body tissues can receive their oxygen. All right. Hopefully that will help everyone learn their parts of the heart and will enable them to do very well on their Sheep Heart Lab Practical. Thank you for watching. This has been Eric Ripa, your anatomy teacher.